Hey guys, it's Sarah. Today's video is going to be my round 3 of Eyeshadow Roulette for 2020. What I do in these videos is I will give you a recap of last month's 5 shades and then I'll pick 5 new shades and try to do a look using all 5 of those. It's always kind of a fun challenge. This series was inspired by the Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan that was started by Alexandra Shostin here on YouTube, except that I don't really focus on panning the shadows. The goal for me is just to use each of the 5 randomized shadows as much as I can throughout the month in different kinds of looks. If I do hit pan, it's a nice bonus, but it's really hard for me to hit pan on eyeshadows, so I feel like I would get discouraged if I tried to make that the goal. But it's a really fun way for me to mix and match different palettes in my collection, different shades that I may have never thought to pair together before. So this past month I had 4 shadows in 4 different palettes and then 1 ColourPop single. So I'm just going to go through and kind of share some looks that I did, share some progress photos. I did remember to take progress photos this month. I did not hit pan on any of these 5 shadows, but I did hit pan on another shadow that was in one of the palettes. So we'll go ahead and talk about this palette first. The shade that was chosen out of this one was the shade Fine, which is just this dark brown. I used this a lot as just a liner. That's usually what I use these kinds of shadows for. And there was one look I did in particular, I'm trying to remember which video that was in. I think it was the look that I was wearing in my current favorites video. I smoked this out on the upper lash line and it ended up looking really pretty. I feel like I have a slight dip going in this shade that I didn't have before, so that's good. And then the shade in this palette that I hit pan as a result of just having it out and using the palette a lot was the shade Fearless. I shared this in my products I've hit pan on video that I did last week. And I was really excited to finally hit a 3rd pan in this palette. It's a tiny baby pan right now, but I do really like that shadow. It's just a matte cream shade, but it is a lot harder for me to hit pan on matte shades. So I am glad to have hit 1 pan, even though it wasn't technically in my eyeshadow roulette. I was using it a lot because the other shade was in my roulette, so counting it as a little bonus pan. The shade that I thought I would hit pan on this month and didn't was the shade Dawn from Subculture. I feel like I'm close. There's definitely a lot more of a dip in that shade than there was at the start of the month. I feel like it could happen any day now. I used that a lot just as a transition shade. The shade, I feel like I kind of forgot about this shade for some reason, even though it's a shade that I really like. From Soft Glam, I had the shade Dusty Rose chosen this month. I wore it I did wear it a few times. I really like that shade in the crease. Pretty much in all my videos throughout this month, I've been wearing some combination of these shadows for the most part. This one I was wearing in my crease in my drugstore skin, body, and hair care starter kit video, along with Dawn from Subculture. I ended up using Glistening a lot this month just because it's a neighboring shade and I had this palette sitting out a lot. I ended up using Glistening I think more than I used Dusty Rose. Either way, I do love that shade. It's a beautiful crease color. I think I was just trying to focus more on Dawn because I thought I would hit pan on it. And then I had a couple of really warm shades this month. The shade Mehendi from the Bili Beauty Eyes of India palette. Beautiful, rusty, matte, like deep orange color. I used that in my outer corner quite a few times. I think my favorite look that I did this month was in my Get Ready With Me that I did. I wasn't even really talking through the shades or anything. I was just kind of doing my makeup as I chatted because it was like a chit chat Get Ready With Me. And I think that was my favorite look I did this month. It was like a gold and coral look. A lot of times this month I also pulled in some of my Stila Glitter and Glows because those are in my Project Pan. And so I ended up pairing those with these a lot, which ended up really pretty. It was like a gold and coral look. So I really enjoyed that shade. Did not even come close to making any sort of dip on it because it's very pigmented and it's a very kind of deep shade for my skin tone, but I love that. Every time I get a shade picked from this palette, I'm always happy because this is just one of my favorite palettes. Amazing quality, amazing indie brand. And then lastly, I had the ColourPop single shadow in Wait For It. This is a matte peach. There were a few times I wore this all over the lid, and lately I've been getting more into wearing a matte shadow all over my lid. I usually just go for like a shimmer or a glitter or some kind of metallic shade on my lid because those are just my favorite, but I've really come to appreciate a matte shadow all over the lid, especially this past month I feel like. I love this shadow from ColourPop. It's a really soft, easy to blend color, and it's a fun way to incorporate color without using like a neon or like super bright rainbow color. I feel like it's a more wearable take on color. So that is one of my favorite singles from ColourPop. Really enjoyed using it this month. So I haven't bought any new eyeshadows this month. Good job, Sarah. And I've gone ahead and taken out the shadows that have already been chosen from my list, and also any shadows that are in my project pan currently, because I'm already focusing on those anyway. And I'm left with 160 pans to choose from, so I'm just gonna pull up my Pretty Random app and choose 5 new shades for the month. I'm so excited. It's just such a fun way to start out the month. So, first number I got is 77, 107, 99, 108, 107 and 108, and finally 149. So 77 is another ColourPop single in the shade Tea Garden. I love that shade. It is a duochrome. Really happy to have some singles being pulled these past couple months, because I feel like I was going through a phase where I wasn't using my singles at all. But this is a kind of bronzy olive green duochrome. I don't normally like green on myself, but this is one of the few like green shadows that I actually really like on my skin tone. Here's that shade, really pretty, just very unique too. 107 is from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette in the shade Desert Storm. It's this almost mustardy brown color here. So far very earthy. Number 99 is from, oh, it's from my Profusion Spectrum palette. I don't think any shades from this palette have been chosen yet in my Roulette series, and I've had this palette for months now. It is the shade Peacock. Another green, but it's kind of a turquoise green. Glad to finally get some use out of this palette. I feel like I've hardly used it. Okay, well that's a little bit of a wild card there. We had some like nice earthy like olivey tones, and then all of a sudden like a bright aqua green. Next, the number 108 is also going to be in the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette, and it's the shade Sahara. Ooh, okay, this is good because I've actually been really meaning to dig into some of these more green shades over here. This is just a nice shimmery olive green. Also goes really well with those first 2 shades. Finally, number 149 is from the Shared Planet Polar Bear palette. Love this palette. The shade Avalanche. All right, and that is another like aqua blue. That's this light blue here, very metallic. So that's a fun kind of spring appropriate color palette. Some greens, some blues, some bright colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting these on my eyes. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do here, but I'm excited to figure it out. I kind of want to fade like this light green into the blue, and then maybe into this color. I sort of want to do a gradient with these 3 shades. And then this shade here I'll probably use in my crease. And then I'm not really sure what I'll do with Tea Garden, but we will figure it out. But yeah, I kind of want to feature these 3 because they're obviously the ones that are the loudest, so we should just let them shine. So I'm gonna start by dipping into the brown, like the mustardy brown. This is Desert Storm. I'm gonna dip very lightly into this one because I'm using this as my crease shade, like I guess my transition shade. I don't want it to be too dark. Yeah, I'm just like barely getting that on there because there's not really a light matte shadow in this mix. It's very cold outside, but it's very sunny, and I'm finally feeling some spring vibes. It is finally March. I feel like February, as it always does, went by so fast. I feel like I'm ready. I do love winter. It's actually one of my favorite seasons. I feel like fall is my favorite, winter is actually my second favorite. But by the time we've had winter for like 4 months, I definitely am ready for spring and just to be able to get outside more. It's been raining so much that just ready for some nice weather. I'm gonna start with the light green. What is this? Sahara from the e.l.f. Earth and Oceans palette. I'm gonna start with that in the inner part of my eyelid and then work outward. Okay, that's really pretty. That is a green I can get behind, because usually like the olive greens and the army greens, I just cannot pull off on my skin tone, no matter how hard I try. just can't do it. But that is actually bright enough and almost warm enough that I feel like it works on my skin tone. Moving into the Shared Planet Avalanche shade, I think I'm just going to tap this on with my finger. I found that these shimmers apply best with a finger. Just tapping that in the middle of the lid. Oh, so pretty. Did the sun just leave us? Nope, it's coming back. Okay, wow, I'm having so much fun with this. This is fun. Right, and then I'm gonna put Peacock in kind of the outermost part of my lid. These shadows from Profusion, I have worn them all. I've swatched them all on my eye. They all are really beautiful and vibrant, but you do really have to build them. Like, they tend to go on kind of sheer, and they can sort of blend away if you're not careful. So yeah, this is like a $5 palette though. Really, really great deal for $5 if you just want some fun shades to play with and you don't want to spend a lot of money because you know you're not going to wear them very much. This might be one of my favorite color stories that I've gotten so far. At first I was like, what? Because we started out with just these very basic earthy tones, and then it turned into this like underwater like blue and green thing. But I really am loving it, digging it. So I'm really just kind of patting that on as opposed to like trying to blend it just yet. Then I'm wedging it into the crease, just the outer part of the crease. I'm just taking a bare brush and blending that. So the only shade I haven't used yet is Tea Garden from ColourPop. I am sure I will be using this all over my lid at least a couple times this month because I love it as a lid shade, but I just don't think this is the time and place for that. So instead of that, I am just going to use this as my lower liner. That's what I always do with the shadow that I don't know what else to do with. All right, I'm going to apply some mascara and then we will pick out a lip. This is my Flower Lash Warrior mascara. All right, for the lips, I think I'm gonna go for like a kind of tan nude color. This is Beachside from Red Apple Lipstick. It's a very glossy lipstick formula. I love this stuff. So that may be one of my favorite eyeshadow roulette looks that I've done in the history of time. I feel like this is such a fun color story to kick off spring. Yeah, I'm excited to play with some color this month. I will be using all 5 of these shadows as much as I can this month in different looks. I definitely won't be using all 5 every single time I use them, but I'll just try to incorporate them into my regular makeup routine as much as I can and see how many different looks I can create with these. So definitely stay tuned for next month where you'll get to see how I use them, and make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos. I post every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I feel like I don't mention that verbally very often, but that is my upload schedule. So I post 3 videos a week about cruelty-free beauty and mindful consumerism, shopping your stash, using what you have, all of those fun topics. So if you are into that kind of thing, I'd love to see you back very soon, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.